Amid tensions between Washington and Tehran, Israel's military has released a video showing its fighter jets escorting a U.S. bomber over Israeli skies. It marked the fourth such bomber deployment into the Mideast this year by the U.S. and the second under President Joe Biden. The flight of the two heavy B-52 bombers is the latest such mission in the region aimed at warning Iran. But the U.S. military did not directly mention Iran in its statement when it said the flight was to deter aggression and reassure partners and allies of the U.S. military's commitment to security in the region. The U.S. military Central Command has said the two B-52s flew over the region accompanied by military aircraft from nations including Israel, Saudi Arabia and Qatar.
Burning tyres and blocking main roads across the country for a seventh consecutive day. These are Lebanon's protesters angered by the ruling class and what they describe as lack of action. The latest demonstration comes against the backdrop of a crash in the local currency, which has lost more than 80% of its value, sending pricing soaring. This crisis gripping the country continues to spiral out of control with no progress on the formation of a new cabinet. This as squabbling politicians fail to adopt a roadmap. The country has been leaderless since August last year when caretaker Prime Minister Hassan Diab's cabinet resigned on the back of the Beirut port explosion that devastated much of the city.
If you look behind me, you see those fences, and there's a sense that downtown Minneapolis has become a sort of fortress. You have these fences, barbed wire, concrete blocks, the National Guard deployed, a lot of law enforcement. So the city is definitely on high alert, bracing itself for what could happen throughout these weeks of a trial. But at the same time, yesterday I was in downtown Minneapolis around the courthouse where there was a silent march in tribute to George Floyd and to the many other victims of police brutality, as well as by the site where George Floyd died in southern Minneapolis.
Coming to Myanmar now, where the endless cycle of violence continues. 3 more protesters have been killed. The death toll has risen to 67. 67 lives lost in 36 days. That's almost 2 deaths per day. The scale of violence has led to armed militias joining hands with the protesters. There are growing fears of an insurgency. There are also fears of an exodus. At least 30 people have crossed over to India in recent days. Among them are 8 policemen. Myanmar wants New Delhi to hand them back. Meanwhile, Australia has become the latest country to act against the army generals of Myanmar.
Minutes after escaping a sky-high stabbing, hysteria spills onto the streets. Panicked revellers sprint from the building where 9 young men were stabbed 25 floors above.
It makes me feel scared.
Up to 50 people were inside a short-term rental when they were ambushed by multiple knife men. The brawl spilling into the lifts and foyer of Spencer Street's Neo 200 complex.
I saw a group of people, so mostly with African descent and some European, so they were like 2 different groups.
Around 2:20 a.m, a 19-year-old man who'd been stabbed multiple times flagged down a police car outside Southern Cross Station, telling officers a fight had broken out. The Dandenong North man was taken to the Royal Melbourne Hospital in a critical condition. An hour and a half later, 2 more men presented to emergency with non-life-threatening stab wounds.
A Chinese-flagged fishing vessel carrying 130 tons of oil has run aground off the coast of Mauritius and caused a minor spill, according to a minister on Monday. Sudhir Madhu, whose Blue Economy Ministry oversees maritime affairs, said 310 metres of floating booms had been deployed to control the leak, which he called nothing to be worried about. Drone footage showed dark patches in waters near the Lurong Yuan U-588, and the incident will revive memories of last July, when the bulk carrier MV Wakashio struck a coral reef and spilled 1,000 tons of fuel into the Indian Ocean. The fishing vessel ran aground on Sunday with 16 crew members on board. They have been brought to shore and are now being quarantined.
An Airbus jet taxiing down the runway, pulling up on the far side of the Brisbane International Airport, out of the way of prying eyes. It's a ghost flight. No markings, just an Australian flag on the tail, but for a small handful of people, no one knows about the top secret charter, or more importantly, where it's going.
How does it feel to be kicked out of Australia?
Welcome aboard Australia's Conair. Every seat taken, this plane is full with the worst of the worst. The secret operation is run by the Australian Border Force. These foreign nationals have had their visas shredded after being convicted of serious crimes. Straight out of jail, they are handcuffed and marched onto the plane.
There we are, the smell of that, the smell of that, the smell of that. Det var det är. Det är så bra pang. Fy fan. Helvete.